I'm glad you've returned to the garden. And today we're going to take a journey into a deeper understanding of what we often call the sick cycle or the cycle of sickness in our lives. But more expressively and more importantly, it's the sick cycle of adaptation. It's how we adapt physically to our creation of the onslaught of chemistry that happens repeatedly over and over and over again. I remember in the early 80s, I believe, 82 or 83, I was so smart. I had been studying my behaviors. I had been observing the world. I thought I had so much wisdom, and I was teaching. I was taking the material that had been shared with me, and I was holding classes, and I was working with other instructors, and we had a brilliant idea one day. And that brilliant idea was, let's be really honest with ourselves, and let's be great observers. Each one of us agreed, and I think there were about 10 of us that day, we agreed to take a 3x5 card with us, put it in our pockets as we lived our daily life, and we would make a mark on the piece of paper and count the number of times we judged or caught ourselves judging. Now, I'm talking about what I considered the great teachers at the time in our community, the people who really understood. I volunteered to be the aggregator of all the information. So everybody at the end of the day, call me, and you see, we can handle a certain number of judgments in a day, the chemistry of a certain number of judgments, and never be in stress because our body has some magical systems we're going to talk about in a few minutes for alleviating the excess chemistry we create. This was going to be great. I was going to show Doc that we had really grown through using his material. And so the goal was this. Each one of you take a 3x5 card, starting with the moment you wake up. You have that card there, you have a pen there, and every time you catch yourself in a moment of judgment, I want you to make a mark on the paper. End of the day, call me. And I'll bet you, as good as we are, some of you will never get to 8 or 10. And I knew I wouldn't. Well, having that card right next to me, it didn't take very long. It took the first real life experience. And alarm clock. What did I feel? Alarm. Oh, judgment. Oh, okay, I better be good now. My focus. What was that? What I shouldn't do. Oh, what's the result of focusing on what you shouldn't do? You do again what it is you shouldn't do. By noon, I had at least 3 calls from everybody on the list. We were all 35, 50, or 75 judgments we had caught ourselves in, and everybody was, I'm quitting. I'm not doing this. Because we were so surprised at actually intentionally observing and seeing, although we had this great wisdom, we hadn't affected the subconscious mind. And I'll tell you the other part of the truth is, in 1980 and 1985, the tools for changing the subconscious were still difficult. They were still tough. We didn't understand enough about energy. We hadn't embraced the great healers on the planet. We hadn't understood that the subconscious mind is as rewritable as it actually is. It's easier than a memory stick. It's easier if you had a document on your computer that you had created 10 years ago, and you went back into the computer, called up that document, changed a word, and saved it. How often do you have to go back and check and see if it's still changed? Your subconscious mind is easier than that. Your subconscious mind is nothing but a program of repeated behavior based on how much emotion you programmed at the time of your experience. That's all it knows, is the amount of emotion, the amount of repetition, the amount of feeling that went into whatever you experience. That's what it knows is reality, and that is what it will try its best to protect you from. Ever going back there again. Don't ever let somebody get close to you. They'll only hurt you. Never give your love, because it always ends up with you being hurt. So we try giving a little bit of love, and it doesn't work, does it? We try restricting our freedom, our creation, and it doesn't work. The great thing I want to begin for you to see is how simple it is to understand our cycle of adaptation. And your body, I cannot tell you how incredibly beautiful this body is at responding to the chemistry we pour in. But let's understand that process. This is the cycle of life, and I want you to have this in your notes so that we really begin to understand the way the mind and body actually work together. If this has been a mystery in your life, or if you're among the believers like in the 1400s that the mind and body are not connected, you have two choices. Consider a different option, or put your fingers in your ears, because we're going to explain the reality of what is. And I know this isn't what is taught in the medical school yet. It isn't what's taught in grade school, but it is the wisdom that will open your experience. And our cycle starts with a thought. So at the top of your circle, I want you to put a thought in. And your thoughts are the genesis of everything in your life. Everything you focus on, everything you think about, everything that you therefore bring into your world becomes physically real. Because for every single thought, there is instantly within the body a feeling about that thought. Most of us have lived a life where we had disconnected the body and didn't realize that feeling had a predecessor, the thought. We have tried to, I feel this when I'm around so-and-so, or I feel this. Well, yeah, you feel something after every single thought you think. Because, I guess there's an exception. Somebody in a coma, been put in a drug-based coma, not a lot of thought going on, so not a lot of connection, so there's not much feeling, so the body gets healthy. But that's not wisdom to go live in a coma, although we've tried. Wisdom is understanding how the mechanism actually works so that we can flow with life rather than struggle with life. So I won't go into it right now, but I'm going to come back and ask you a question in a little while. What do you think creates that feeling? The thought filtered through. No Game Boy conscious mind involved. Thought. According to that, the subconscious mind will create the feeling. And for every feeling, there is a neuroendocrine. That is the mind directing the endocrine glands. There are about 14 glands, I understand. And believe me, I have not been to medical school, don't intend to go to medical school, but I'm assuming somebody knew what they were telling me. But these glands actually create chemistry in your body. It's the chemistry with which we enable ourselves to either fight or run. The endocrine glands create the chemistry, and there's a neuromuscular response, the mind directing the muscles to express that chemistry, which leads to the completion of that cycle through function. I have a thought. I want to demonstrate what I'm saying. I'm going to pick up my water bottle. Feeling that? Yeah, that'll work. That'll be a good demonstration. I reach over here, do that. What enabled me to do that was the mind directing the correct muscles, the correct amount of chemistry, the correct amount of everything to actually pick up the water bottle. As a demonstration, at times, I have brought into the classroom a bucket filled with water that weighed about 60 pounds and a bucket over here that was empty. And I'd ask a volunteer to come up from the class, and I'd say, pointing to the bottle or the bucket that was filled with water and weighed 60 pounds, this is the empty bucket. I want you to pick this up real quickly. And every single person would reach down and, thinking it was empty, and not be able to lift it. Oh, that's the heavy one. Instantly, they could lift it. Why? What's the demonstration supposed to say? The mind created the correct amount of chemistry to lift an empty bucket. It didn't create the chemistry to lift a 60-pound bucket. But as soon as the mind, oh, that's the heavy one. I'm sorry, I messed up. As soon as they understood it was the heavy one, it was no big deal. It's just the mind directing the body, and your mind has created the correct amount of chemistry for every single thought you've ever had in order to complete that. When I got pulled over, in my rear view mirrors, I saw those blue lights flashing. I knew I'd been a bad boy since I was 7 years old, and here I was caught. I must have been speeding. Of course I was speeding, whatever. As I sat there, I can remember my leg actually shaking from the chemistry that's poured in my body, that was poured in my body so that I would do what? Run like the Dickens. But here's conflict. That's an authority figure. Oh, if I run, it's worse. I better not run. But I already created the chemistry. What do? I stewed my juices is what I did. What did you do? You did the same thing. You sat there, and throughout your life, what you've experienced is your thought, feeling, neuromuscular reaction, neuroendocrine reaction, created the chemistry, enabled your muscles to either fight or run, because we live in the law of survival until we finally accept the law of understanding and love. And if you fail to function, if you fail to follow through with the action that you thought you were going to do, what happened to that chemistry? How often have you failed to follow through with the mental creations of what you ought to do? Oh, I ought to go hit that son of a gun. Oh, I ought to say this. Oh, I ought to say, oh, I should have said he needs somebody to straighten him out. She needs somebody to tell her what life. Every single thought, every single experience you have of the viscosity of this life, according to the feeling, chemistry is produced. Not much feeling there, not much resistance, no judgments there, no big deal, no chemistry, or very little chemistry. Our problem in life is the judgments that don't allow us to carry through the actions we thought. Well, I can feel the wheels turn. What's he saying? I'm supposed to do everything I think? That would be hell. Nobody would love me. Nobody would like me. Nobody would be around me. Because I think all these things that are private inside and nobody knows but me. Really? The truth is, everybody knows but you. You're the one that's blinded yourself. You're broadcasting all your issues. You're broadcasting all your resistances. You're broadcasting all your fears. You're broadcasting all your angers. And that smile on your face as you bounce around because that's what you want people to see is conflict that they're seeing. They're seeing you're not congruent. They're seeing that you're putting on a false face because you're in a social situation. They're seeing the truth. You're the only one that's blind. And it won't take you very long to think through the last party you went to, who you were attracted to, who you laughed at, who you resisted being around, who you saw through, who you saw playing games. And in truth, if you had your blinders on to your own issues, it was only you playing games. And you only saw reflections of the issues you brought to the party. Life is intended to be this incredible gift of a party. What we have created is a cycle of sickness. In 1975, there was an article in the Commercial Appeal here in Memphis, Tennessee, when Dr. Romero came in as this great, wonderful article. They were really more open in 75. They were more open in 1975 than newspapers tend to be today. And they created this wonderful article about this doctor from New Mexico, and he's saying that 95% of our illnesses are from stress. You could almost hear the ha 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 in the lines between the words, because they knew that was absurd. We are here in Memphis, Tennessee, in the midst of the most amazing medical complex. It's just awesome things go on here. Everybody believes the medical authority, but I'll tell you what, the medical model is built on judgment. They can't see the truth. They couldn't see the truth at that time. That was laughable. That 95% of all our illnesses were caused by stress. I'm going to go one step further today. If you are in balance and stress is not a part of your life, you are virtually immune to disease. Naturally. Perfectly. Because your immune system is designed to handle virtually anything that can come from you. But the fastest way to shut down the immune system is to put you in stress. As soon as you go into stress, the number one job of your immune system is to get rid of the excess chemistry. You know how I know that's medically true? Do you know what they do to organ donors? Do you know how they shut down their immune system so that they don't reject tissues and organs? They give them stress chemistry. And by giving them stress chemistry, shutting down their immune system, people allow an adaptation to tissues that wouldn't normally be accepted or belong. I'm here to tell you that's not the big deal. The medical system, their wisdom will grow. And it will grow from an awareness that's happening outside their control. As we awaken the it's not significant to anybody but me, but my last visit to the doctor was in 1981 when I broke an ankle because I was not in control of my thoughts. My last drug that I took was in 1981 or 82, is that last aspirin. The last experience I needed to know my truth is that all health, vitality, vigor, all the things I wanted in life came not from drugs, but instead from within, eliminating the conflicts, which was shutting down this incredible immune system that made me immune to disease. Am I saying I'm on some pedestal? Absolutely not. Am I saying I'm proof of some concept? Absolutely not. Am I saying it's a significant experience for me? Absolutely. And I'm asking you to begin the process of observing. I'm not saying run from doctors at all. I'm saying go when you need to. But what you need to do, if you are living in my world, is to begin to take control of the stresses in your life. If you really understand how simple it is, that it's simply a matter of choosing your thoughts. How can you choose your thoughts? By setting aside the ones you don't want. I'm sorry it's not more complicated now. I know you're looking for this complex formula about living life that means you have to. No. It's laugh. Realize that those going down that rabbit hole of negative, repetitive thought will only take you where you've already been, and that's where you're trying to escape. How hard is letting go? If you're holding on to monkey bars or holding on to something, how hard is it to let go? It only depends on your fear of how far you're going to fall. If you're 2 inches from the ground, no big deal. You're not an inch off the ground. You're not that wise yet. You're holding on as if everything depended on my holding on to this experience. The only thing that the experience is doing is keeping you stuck in a place where you don't know who's in control. Where somebody else is in control of your thoughts, somebody else is in control of your actions, somebody else is in control of your reactions, somebody else is running your life, and that sucks. Free to, we talked about it the last time. Free to change the sick cycle into the life cycle. Because the cycle will never change. The only thing that will change is when you have the wisdom to eliminate your judgments from the cycle and choose thoughts and carry them out. If you don't carry them out, Creator was really pretty amazing. He created a system that adapts automatically. And it adapts using first the kidneys. How do the kidneys adapt? Anybody want to venture a guess? Okay. The kidneys filter out and excrete the excess chemistry of your reactions. And if you've listened to Dr. Oz, he'll tell you one of the wisest things you can do is observe your pee and observe your poop, because it'll be the first indicator of how healthy you are. Oh no, I said those words in public. Oh no. But as you begin to react less, you reduce the stress in your body, because the kidneys do a miraculous thing, and they do something to constantly filter out the chemistry, trying to get you back in balance. And the body also adapts with the liver. The liver's job is to filter the blood. where do you think the chemistry of your reactions circulates? There is no accumulator of excess chemistry organ in your body. There is a filtering system that's designed to actually help you. The kidney, I chuckled in 1975, and as I began to understand this material, at the lack of understanding, because from the medical world, their belief was, they believe in percentages. They knew that a percentage of people had this problem, and they were sure that cirrhosis of the liver was associated with alcohol because 60% of them. I had to chuckle because I finally understood for myself that my issue wasn't alcohol. Alcohol was a numbing device I used. But what about those 40% of the people who didn't drink alcohol that had cirrhosis of the liver? Oh, there's a bigger picture they didn't see. And that is cirrhosis of the liver is the liver being unable to adapt to the chemistry of reaction that we continue to pour in 100% of the time. And 60% of the people also were trying to numb with alcohol. They were missing because their belief system was one that the mind and body were separated. The doctors in the medical world think that they can't deal with emotions because that's the psychologist. We've had to give that to them. But we'll just deal with the physical stuff. You can't just deal with the physical stuff. In the world we're entering now where quantum physics is telling us that everything is entangled, everything is a part of everything else, that there is no separation. That's our little boxes we create for understanding. Instead, we have to take the whole person. And what I'm telling you is the whole person that you are is filled with the chemistry of your judgments and reactions to life. And that, with that understanding, is all that's necessary to change. If you understand that all the stress you feel from 8 hours a day of screaming little kids, or 9 hours a day of this incredible stupid boss, or 12 hours a day of whatever it is that in life, that this heat, this oppressive heat. I have to live in this oppressive. What do you think you create every single time you judge the experience? I love using the weather as an example because it's so funny when I go to the desert, 115. And I come here to Memphis, oh, it's 90, but it's so humid. Everybody talks about what they don't want or don't like. They share the common misery of, oh, isn't this heat awful? No. And not only is it not awful, if you are not judging, your body will adapt instantly, automatically, perfectly, and you remain 98.6 degrees on the inside, which is the whole point, I think, until we step in and start creating something of a judgment or creating something with our judgment. The kidneys, the liver's magical. And I'll remind you that if there are issues with these organs, there's no drug necessary to bring them back into full health. Your body knows complete health, has a perfect diagram inside to recreate anything that you will allow. We also have the largest organ in the body is the skin. And the skin is a way of excreting the excess chemistry we've produced. And I hope it's beginning to dawn on you. I'm telling you, we're producing a lot of chemistry. You remember after years and years of work, I realized 100 and some times a day I poured excess chemistry. Your body is designed to adapt to 8 or 9 reactions a day. You're going to skate through as if you will never feel a thing, because the kidney, the liver, the skin, they will filter out the chemistry. You also have muscle tension. Having spent so many years in the healing world, it's amazing how many people are aware of muscles that are tight. Well, this is one of the body's survival mechanisms, because if the kidneys can't do it and the liver can't do it, there's still more chemistry coming, and your perspiration and all the body odor and everything else still isn't enough to deal with that chemistry. Then it will go to the next tool, which is to take a group of muscles and contract them in order to burn up that chemistry. So when you wake up with a tight neck or a group of muscles that are helping you by being tight, I want you to know it's not the pain that's important, it's the message. The message is you're in conflict in the subconscious, and it's outpicturing in the physical body. And all that's necessary is bring peace to that area. There's muscle tension. How do you think exercise affects you when you're under stress? For most, it's a relief. Okay? So it's a way, there are many people that are actually addicted to the way they exercise because they know it's the only survival mechanism that actually calms them down. The ones that end up with heart attacks while they're running and stuff like that are the ones that haven't shut off the thought process. Instead of enjoying the beautiful surroundings, I used to run around Overton Park and do mile after mile after mile of releasing of chemistry and enjoying the surroundings. I was also aware that there are a lot of people who that's not what they're doing. They're thinking about the dirty son of a gun that they just had a business meeting with, or they're thinking about the struggles. And those are the people who, in doing the right thing, don't shut off the judgment cycle. It's time to realize the simple beauty of creation. And the number one way to change the chemistry of your body is to use your mind. Use your understanding. There's a very simple, very beautiful, easy way to counteract judgment, counteract the chemistry of judgment. And you're going to chuckle when you hear, because our addiction to stupid television shows, sitcoms, is one of the greatest health phenomenons that ever happened on planet Earth. And we all understand that we will sit there, watch the stupidest, most ridiculous things, because when they play that canned laughter, we go, in that moment, the laughter chemistry, the chemistry that we release when we laugh, is the perfect antidote for anger chemistry. So, enjoy your sitcoms until you wake up to being able to laugh at life, being able to chuckle at the incredible play going on in front of you of struggle where everybody's fighting their demons, not understanding the game. Everybody's defending themselves against something that may come, but they don't know what it is, and they don't know how to defend themselves, so they do their karate out in the world, or they do their whatever their way of defending themselves from attack. Most of us have defended ourselves by being the first to judge. If I can judge him first, he has no power over me. I see him, he's stupid. I see him, and it's our judging others we have used as our primary defense mechanism. Has it ever worked? It's worked in one way. It's helped you produce more chemistry. It's helped get you out of sorts. It's helped create this cycle of adaptation. But I want you to remember, in 30 seconds, you can create enough chemistry in your body to cripple you for life, render you insane, or kill you. don't ever be surprised at what brings on sudden heart attacks. It's always chemistry. Your body does everything possible to defend your physical form from having to pay that penalty. Your body is doing everything to keep you alive long enough for this light bulb moment where you begin to embrace the love of life, to embrace the beauty of life instead of doing battle with life. We really have a choice. The law of attraction is the law. The law of survival is our programming. The law of understanding and love is wisdom. Anything other than that is a step towards wisdom. But until you understand that you are 100% responsible for everything you create in your physical body, you are 100% responsible for every thought that generates the chemistry, that generates the imbalance, that generates the situation where you decide whether to act on your thought or not. No one can do that for you, and you cannot do that for anyone else. If any of you have raised children, you have watched this intensely. You can warn them, you can tell them, you can never be responsible for them, because only they can respond for themselves. And if you'll give others the dignity of being responsible for themselves, if you'll stop living the fantasy, number 2 decision, that I'm responsible for somebody else's behavior, that's horse manure. You are only able to respond for self. Your thoughts, and this is Creator's design. Thought, for every thought there's a feeling, for every feeling there's chemistry. That chemistry is designed to carry out the function. And in between those two lies the truth of your path of discovery this week. It's time to observe. It's time to observe in ourselves how we are creating balance or imbalance in our lives using the cycle of life, because this is the cycle of life, turned into the cycle of sickness by our insistence on judgment. Awakening time. I promised you simple ideas, but if you'll go out and observe, go out and feel the chemistry in your body the next time the blue lights go off behind you, or the next time you see somebody that you are trying to avoid, the next time something happens that's out of your control that you want to do this to. Watch there. That's wisdom. Wisdom is taking a simple truth. I'm just the carrier of a simple map, and it happens to be a treasure map. And the treasure where the map leads you is the most precious treasure on earth, because the only way to get to love, which we all crave, is setting aside judgment. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. You can have experiences, and we're going to talk later on in another class about the different kinds of love and all the loving experiences you've had and you know, but to get to the unconditional love that is life, that has created the beauty of this experience, the only way to get there is to set judgment aside. And I ask you to return to the garden. But when you come back again, when you come back and join us again, come armed with observation. More observation, less judgment. That's the path. Are any of you going to, I swear off judgment, I'll never judge again? You just did. Your idea of the future is a judgment. The future hasn't gotten here yet. You don't know what's coming. Are you willing to be free? Are you willing to be free to experience what comes? And I know you're closer today, and I know that by going back out into the world, armed with what we've shared with you, you will have the tools to live and bring back to us a deeper understanding of your truth of life. You are loved, you're appreciated. Have a wonderful experience between now and when we gather again.
Hello, friends. Thanks for joining us on our journey to return to the garden. My hope is that something you heard inspired you to want to know more. It's been my experience that the information comes to life as you learn to observe more and judge less. I also know that those observations will lead to more questions. To continue the journey, I want to invite you to be my guest for our continuing monthly online classes. The interactive structure and with question and answers will be fun and filled with laughter. The first 3 sessions are free. Registration is a breeze. Just visit www.returntothegarden.com. That's it, returntothegarden.com. Here's wishing you a happy, stress-free life, and I hope our paths cross again.